So, ladies and gentlemen, we're done with Red Bull Racing, formerly known as Aston Martin Red Bull Racing. And now let's move on to decipher Aston Martin, the team itself, formerly known as Racing Point or Pink Mercedes, or just long story short, X Force India, whatever. It's a confusing thing. I know David Croft is going to be confused quite a fair bit. But okay, it's all right. That happens, right? It's a tough job being a commentator, I can tell. But coming to Aston Martin, Kunal, it is really exciting times. It's just such a fantastic time for the team. There's just such a buzz, such a ray of optimism surrounding them. Firstly, because Sebastian Vettel has come into the team. Okay, I know that's an uncertain factor, but still, four-time world champion coming to the X-Force India team. That never have they had a driver as successful as him. But now there's also this manufacturer team saga going around. I think it's just happy days for him. If I was buying, I would buy into them. They seem like a really promising outfit to look at. Plus, I had to mention this one, the new headquarters coming up too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pink Mercedeses will be called the green Mercedeses in 2021. Although, the rules now disallow for such blatant design copying, if we may use that word, right? So that's what it's going to be when it comes to Aston Martin. It'll be a manufacturer team, but they'll largely be a customer of Mercedes for all good purposes. And Somil, you said buy, and I think I would agree with that call as well, that you should buy into the Aston Martin racing stock. But my feeling, Somil, is that
Hmm.
the current price could be a highly inflated price,
Yeah.
right? For all the factors you said, for the fact that it's Aston Martin that's coming in, it's Sebastian Vettel that's coming in, and so on. So there's a lot of positivity around the team, around the Stroll investments, and so on. But it all now needs to dial down into on-track performances.
Mm.
Let's remember they let go of their star driver at the end of 2020, and if Aston Martin had four drivers to pick from, they literally chose the two who I would call as the least performing drivers. So they had Perez, they had Hulkenberg, they had Vettel, and they had Lance Stroll. And I'm citing this just based on 2020 form, not going back several more seasons
Yeah.
and so on, right? So it all depends how the story actually unfolds on track. But at the moment, some fantastic positivity around Aston Martin, my old folks at Force India, and in fact, even for Formula One to have a new manufacturer join the ranks.
No, I agree, Kunal, genuinely, because on paper at least, they picked the combination that really performed the worst out of the available four drivers. I agree. Sometimes Hulkenberg's stock can be inflated by fans not seeing him too often. That could happen at times, right? But just seeing them pick Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel, I thought it was more commercial decision more than anything else. Because leaving aside Checo Perez, who leaves aside Sergio Perez, right? And Red Bull had to grab that opportunity, and so they did. But it's just, I think Vettel describes the whole team perfectly. It just epitomizes the whole scenario. Used to be good. There's a sense of positivity around, but there's also a sense of, yeah, maybe you don't know. It seems like a restructuring. It seems like a new start, but new starts aren't always good starts. Who knows what could happen, Kunal? Because it's a change of the brand, it's a change of the name, it's maybe a fresh atmosphere for Vettel to work with, but we don't know what we're going to get at the end of the day. It sounds much like an RCB team of any year, for that matter.
Yes, the other question, which will be answered through the season, is will we have one car scoring in bulk
Yes.
in Aston Martin, right? I mean, I love Sebastian Vettel. I regard Lance Stroll as a good driver, given what he's able to do in Formula One. I mean, as you'd have noticed, I feel differently for both drivers, right? But at the end of the day, what Aston Martin will need is for both drivers to pull their load equally, right? And we
Hmm.
saw what Perez could do to Lance Stroll the last couple of seasons, and what Charles Leclerc did to Sebastian Vettel last season, and the like. So, two drivers that are also desperately looking for their image makeover in the sport, right? And God forbid, and I think I've said this several times before, but I really hope that Aston Martin doesn't use Sebastian Vettel to sort of make Lance Stroll look good. It's highly
Mm.
unlikely. You wouldn't spend so much money just to do something like that. But hey, guys, this is Formula One. There are teams, there are families out to prove a point. A few millions here and there don't really make a difference. But that said, yes, by now it may be an inflated price, and then again do a review mid-season. We will know by then just
Mm.
how deep the water is flowing under that bridge.
Absolutely. It's just drama, spiciness all around surrounding Aston Martin. And they just have a lot of their hopes pinned on their drivers. But there's also this misconception, Gunal. It's a positive thing, right? It's beautiful to see Aston Martin come in and Lawrence Stroll facilitating that deal all the way through. It's amazing to see them come up with the new headquarters. But for 2021 itself, long run, I agree. Lots of potential, buy in. But for 2021 alone, Kunal, the cars, I doubt there's going to be a monumental change in the car. I doubt it's going to be completely different and it's going to completely challenge the likes of Red Bull. Not going to happen, right? There's only so much you can change within that 1 year period. And also, there's so much uncertainty surrounding Lance Stroll and Vettel's performance, as you just mentioned. I don't know. It seems like a long-term buy, but for the short run, it's more like a gamble stock. You don't know how it's going to pay off right now, but in the future, there are certainly very positive signs for them, and that is mostly on the organizational side, not with the current drivers that they've got.
Organizational, financial, budget cap, sliding scale error, like we said in the Williams segment, right? This is what most of the midfield privately owned teams
Yeah.
have been waiting for, to have a level playing field in Formula One. They will eventually get one. And, Aston Martin is also very, very sure of their design philosophy. They're saying we will get whatever we can from Mercedes as much as we can and
Yeah.
optimize that. So, they will have the 2020, Mercedes car transferring as much technology to their car as is permitted by the rules, maybe a little more depending on what's permitted from the photographs and the likes, as
Mhm.
they've also been pretty straightforward about that. I also think, Samuel, that they 2020 was the transition phase between their original design philosophy
Yeah.
and sort of following the Mercedes design philosophy, right? So a second year with the Mercedes design philosophy will help them understand the package better and how to make it deliver better and faster on track. So I get a feeling that Aston Martin, if all goes well, should still be in the fight for P3 and P4. And if Red Bull falter even a little bit, Aston Martin will be one of the first teams that could pounce to get P2 as well.
The irony. Aston Martin, Red Bull Racing, the name Aston Martin moving away. And if they come up to challenge Red Bull for P number two, who knows what could happen. But pro tip, guys, if you are in fact copying a design from a rival team, lessons from McLaren, just don't go to your local printing shop to print the designs. You might get caught. Have a printer in your own office. Do it yourself. But moving to Aston Martin, Kunal, the final thing we should discuss, right? We've discussed about their potential worries about what's really good looking forward into 2021. If you just had to pick, I mean, considering this is a stock that we'll buy right now, albeit at an inflated price, and then make a decision on mid-season, if you had to pick one really brilliant factor about them and one that potentially could weigh their stock down, which one would it be for you? Which ones rather?
The one brilliant factor is the fact that even though it's a new team, new branding, you can call it whatever you want, uh, it's still the same management inside
Yeah.
that has delivered wonders. My ex boss Otmar and all the other colleagues, the two Andys, Andy Stevenson, Andrew Green, and the likes, they know how to deliver a solid package. It wasn't for nothing that they were called the pounds per points world champion, right? They've always been very, very efficient in the way they've spent their money in the performance gains and so on.
Yep.
For 2021, they will, of course, have even more tokens to spend, because when they take 2020 technology from Mercedes, it comes to them pretty much free of cost. So they can spend their tokens on other performance areas of their car, right? So that's the big plus side of buying into Aston Martin. And the negative to me would be what I said about the drivers. There is a lot of uncertainty about the drivers, like we've been discussing, and it would, like, my decision whether to hold or to sell off would definitely depend on how their driver
Yeah.
situation progresses through the season.
It's a bit like a coin toss, isn't it? You don't know which direction it's going to go in. Could be the best thing in the world, having Sebastian Vettel and a promising Lance Stroll. Who knows? Could be the worst for them as well. But if there's a plus, folks, before we go and move away to AlphaTauri, if there is a plus point, there is a surety that an Aston Martin will be leading the Formula One field at least once this year. That's not because of their team, but that's because Aston Martin will now have their safety cars at certain events as well. But that's a separate factor. If you want to book in that, how many laps have Aston Martin led in 2021? A trivia question for maybe at the end of the year. But that, folks, is Aston Martin done. Next up is another team that has their name starting with an A, but it's AlphaTauri, in fact. So let's move on to them, but that shall come after a very short break. We'll be right here.